I want to know, Asif, you know, you're really, really intellectual. You've read so many books, like you're like a better than a dictionary, and it's like, knowledge is power. Tell me what made you. Where did you grow up? How did, your life go? What made you into this guy today?
I think what made me into this life today is really is hardship. Like I grew up with six kids.
Hmm.
Like we were one of six kids. It was a second generation immigrant family. My father wasn't really there. He was in Pakistan most of the time. He came to the UK full time when I was 10 years old.
So
I,
who was that male role model for you up until then?
it was probably my mum's brothers. She had four brothers, and it was mainly them. They were entrepreneurs. They were men who dressed well, smelt well, and that kind of gave me a idea of how to be a well-groomed man. My father came when I was 10, so I didn't really spend much time with him. But that my second part of my life was more about developing intelligence and curiosity, and that came from my father. So the whole rich dad, poor dad.
Mhm.
So my father was, let's say, the poor dad, as in he was very smart, very book smart, and that's what made me book smart. But the rich dad were probably my mom's brothers who taught me about business, etc.
Mhm.
So you have to have both in your life.
Yeah.
You have to have that intellectual person who teaches you how to be book smart, but also the rich dad who teaches you how to be money smart and
Mhm.
how to know the difference between a asset and a liability.
Mhm.
Like my father, his financial advice was saving is earning,
Mhm.
and that you can't get rich from that advice.
Mhm.
And his advice was, study hard, get a good job, get a good degree, which served me well in the sense that it gave me medicine, it gave me respect, it gave me curiosity. But it doesn't then leave a legacy behind, which is where my uncles came in. They had restaurants and businesses, and they were very entrepreneurial.
Wow. So, what was school like for you?
Mm.
So going back to primary, secondary, what was you like back then? Did you always have this sort of personality about you, being inquisitive, or always, I wouldn't say like winning an argument, but always knowing something about something?
Yeah, no, I've always very smart. I always put my hand on first in class. I always try to be smart. I try to be smart but funny. So, smart kids aren't funny. The smart kids are like very studious. They sit at the front of the class, take notes, very nerdy. I was nerdy, but I was also cool and like funny as well, and witty and
Mhm.
sporty. So I tried to have one thing my father told me, which I never forget, is a healthy body is a healthy body has a healthy mind.
Mhm.
So do not neglect your physical fitness. So be the fastest in the school, the guy who can jump the highest,
Mhm.
the guy with the strongest arm wrestle, the guy who can, is the best at football and cricket, which I was, and the smartest as well. So be
Mhm.
all of them, and I've taken that with me, into my 30s.
You feel like you're a bit of an all rounder,
I like to
you
be. Yeah,
know?
you have to be multifaceted. You have to be. You got to hit life hard on every aspect.
Hmm. Is but I'm trying to find out where that drive comes from. Who is Asif? What makes you want to be the best dressed, the best body, the best knowledge, to be the funniest in the room? Where does that come from?
It comes from. It's a very good question, by the way. It's a deep question. It's a philosophical question. I think it comes from the fact that life is short. You won't get a second life to live life again. Not in this world. You won't get a second life. So you won't get a second life to then get your physique right. You won't get a third life to get your money right. You won't get a fourth life to get your appearance right.
Hmm.
You won't get a fifth life to get your social network right. You'll have one life to get it all right,
Hmm.
to squeeze it all into one life.
But why do you care so much?
Why do I care so much? That's a very good question. I care so much because I saw the absence of it growing up. That's why.
I always like to go deep into
That's
the
a deep
mind,
question.
because it's like we do things because sometimes I think we're always trying to prove something as
That's
well.
right. So I tell you why. Growing up, I didn't have role models. I had people who knew they were good at one thing, but lacked in other things. So they're very good at business, but they weren't religiously minded. So I couldn't take them as role models. They had people who were very intellectual, but they weren't financially prudent or physically in shape. So that frustrated me. I'm like, why are these mutually exclusive?
Mhm.
Why is this person very good at this, but he lacks in this? So when you become a father of boys, you want to become a superhero to them.
Mhm.
So when they see you, they're like, that's my dad.
Mhm.
He's the smartest, sharpest, handsomest, suavest, fittest, funniest, wealthiest man from all of my peers and their fathers. And I don't want to ever be in that position where your dad's nothing but a superhero. You have to be superhero. Like, you have to be that 10 in everything. My dad's this. He can beat your dad in a egg and spoon race. He'll just blitz past your dad. He can outbench him. He can outlift him. He can do anything. He can out-earn him. He can outsmart him. In every single thing, my dad can outdo your dad. And I want that.